Episode 9, Mama's Green Thumb.
Sunday morning in Barton County was supposed to be quiet, but Diane had other plans. She burst into the garage like a general storming a bunker, puffing on her cigarette and clutching a stack of seed packets like battle orders. Today, she declared, smoke curling around her words, we take back the yard. Frank, halfway through his first cup of coffee, blinked. The yard already belongs to us. Diane jabbed her cigarette toward the grass. No, it belongs to weeds and shame. But after today, it'll be my showcase garden. Roses, lilies, a butterfly bush, maybe even an herb patch. Ricky, shirtless as ever, squinted at the packets. Herbs, huh? Legal ones? Mamaw. Don't you call me Mamaw, Ricky, Diane snapped. And yes, legal. Maybe. Depends on the state. Hudson raised his phone like a news reporter. And here we go, folks. Season 1, Episode 9, Mamaw versus Mother Nature. Place your bets. Harry sat in his bright orange lawn chair, sipping from his mason jar. If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass. Still wouldn't make Diane a farmer. Shut it, Harry, Diane barked, pacing like a coach before kickoff. Frank sighed, rubbing his face. You know, Mom, most people ease into gardening. Potted plants, window boxes, not whatever this is. This, Diane said, spreading her arms dramatically, is the start of my horticultural empire. Ricky leaned on the wheelbarrow he'd just dragged over. Empire's a big word for a lady who killed a cactus. That cactus was suicidal, Diane barked. Hudson zoomed in on her glare. Breaking news. Mamaw blames the victim. Frank smirked. Future roses, huh? Can't ruin what ain't planted yet. Diane slammed her cigarette butt into the dirt. Frank, get the shovel. Ricky, fetch the wheelbarrow. Hudson, you're my cameraman. Harry, I'm paying my water bill, Harry muttered, standing up and heading inside. Useless, Diane growled. But Harry reappeared almost immediately with another jar. Bills paid. Full coverage. Frank laughed despite himself. Unbelievable. By mid-morning, Diane had the entire crew reluctantly enlisted. Bags of soil leaned against the shed, buckets of mismatched tools were scattered across the driveway. And at Diane's feet, a suspicious packet of mystery herb seeds stuck out of the stack like a loaded gun. She clutched it tighter whenever Ricky's eyes drifted toward it. You see this, Frank, she said proudly, waving the packet. This one's special. Rare strain. Takes a careful hand. Frank squinted. Packet doesn't even have a label. It's boutique, Diane shot back. Ricky grinned. Looks like weed to me. Diane's eyes narrowed. It's oregano. Specialty oregano. Mind your business. Harry coughed into his jar. Ain't no tomato plant got leaves like that. Shut it, Harry, Diane snapped. But her hands trembled just slightly when she tucked the packet into her back pocket like contraband. By noon, the yard looked like a construction site run by amateurs. Soil bags ripped open like crime scenes. Shovels stuck in the ground at random angles. Pots, buckets, and an old toilet tank Diane swore was a planter littered the grass. Diane paced with her seed packets like a football coach, drawing invisible lines in the dirt. Roses here, lilies there. Tomatoes on the side. And Frank, don't you dare put my basil next to your peppers. Frank jammed the shovel in the dirt. I'm not planting peppers. I'm just here to dig holes while you boss everybody. You'd complain about breathing if you had to do it twice, Diane shot back. Ricky came barreling across the yard, pushing a wheelbarrow piled with soil. He wobbled left, then right, before deliberately dumping it square on Diane's shoes. She shrieked, hopping back. Bare chest. Are you trying to sabotage me? Just fertilizing your attitude, Ricky grinned. Hudson whispered into his phone. Uncle Ricky versus Mamaw, round 1. Harry ambled back from the garage carrying a wooden contraption under his arm. Made y'all some planters. Scrap wood. Strong enough to hold a truck. He plopped it down proudly. One side immediately collapsed. Frank raised an eyebrow. Strong enough to hold a Hot Wheels truck? Maybe. Just needs balance, Harry muttered, propping it up again. Larson waddled over, climbed into the planter, and the whole thing tipped sideways, spilling dirt across the lawn. Diane clutched her cigarette like a judge's gavel. I can't work under these conditions. Frank chuckled. Conditions. This ain't a greenhouse, Mom. It's Barton County dirt and a dog with flatulence. Watch it, Frank. Diane barked. Just saying. Ricky found the garden hose and began spraying down the soil. Then, accidentally on purpose, he soaked Diane's back. She spun, drenched, cigarette dangling limply from her lip. You little yard needed watering, Ricky grinned. So did you. Hudson whispered into his stream. Mamaw versus Ricky, round 2. By early afternoon, the garden resembled a war zone. Rows of plants sat crooked like bad teeth. Tools were buried under mounds of soil. Diane's empire looked less like Versailles and more like a mud wrestling pit. But in the far corner, Diane fussed endlessly, crouched low, gently patting the dirt like she was tucking in a baby. "Don't you dare touch this patch," she barked when Ricky wandered too close. Ricky bent down, sniffed the leaves. "This don't smell like basil to me. It's specialty oregano," she snapped, shielding it with her arms. Harry muttered, "Smells like the neighbor's garage in 72. "Harry?" Diane barked again, sweat running down her forehead. "One more word and I'll bury you in the mulch pile." Hudson whispered into his phone, chuckling. "Specialty oregano patch. Odds are suspicious." Frank shook his head, wiping his brow. "This is gonna end in handcuffs." As the sun dropped, Diane planted her hands on her hips and surveyed the battlefield with pride. Rows of flowers drooped like exhausted soldiers. Herbs sat lopsided in pots. Half-dead tomato plants leaned like drunks after last call. But Diane lit a cigarette, exhaling like Caesar overlooking Rome. "There," she said. "My masterpiece." Frank leaned on the shovel. "Looks more like a Jackson Pollock painting." "Shut up, Frank. It's beautiful." Hudson panned his camera dramatically. "Behold, Mamaw's empire. Estimated survival rate, 3 days." Thunder rumbled. A gust of wind lifted the empty seed packets off the porch. Diane froze. No, not today. Rain splattered first drops, then sheets. Within minutes, the empire turned swamp. Soil washed downhill. Seedlings floated away like little lifeboats. Larson pranced through the puddles, tail wagging, proudly dragging Diane's basil roots and all across the mud. "New," Diane wailed, slipping and landing face first in the muck. Her cigarette fizzed out in the downpour. Ricky doubled over laughing. "Mother Nature just smoked your crop, Mom." "Oh." Diane scrambled to cover her patch of oregano with whatever she could find. An old shower curtain, a beach chair, even Harry's lawn chair before he yanked it back. "Leave my chair out of your drug ring," Harry muttered, raising his mason jar to the rain. "Free refills. Better than bottled." Frank pulled her up by the elbow. "Told you, Mom. You don't start an empire in one day. I hate you all," Diane cried, hair plastered to her face. Hudson zoomed in on the drowned garden. "Ladies and gentlemen, Mamaw's empire. Overthrown by a storm cloud." Diane stomped onto the porch, mud dripping. "I'll rebuild. You'll see. Next year, Garden of Eden." Frank shook his head, cracking open a beer. "Next year, same circus." The crew collapsed onto lawn chairs under the garage awning, watching the rain flatten Diane's masterpiece. Harry muttered another frog, saying, "Nobody caught." Larison sprawled in a puddle, chewing soggy basil with delight. Frank reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and tapped play. Luke Bryan's Rain is a Good Thing spilled out through the tiny speaker, twangy and cheerful against the storm. Ricky leaned back, grinning, and started humming along loudly, way off key. Harry raised his jar in rhythm, and the clink of cans and glasses followed. For a moment, the storm didn't matter. They sat back, laughing and drinking, letting the music carry them through the downpour. Frank grinned at the muddy battlefield of a yard and lifted his beer. One Mamaw, one suspicious oregano patch. One storm too many. This was life at Frank's place.